Afternoon, everybody.
Coach, just as we get ready to start spring practices, can you give us some availability updates and if there's anybody going to be out early or who's going to be here for you?
Well, yeah, I can. We've had some injuries as far as that might hold some guys out for the spring and might hold some out for the first week. So where is that on my sheet right here, Kyle? Do I have that? Huh? Okay, I'll go off the top of my head then. David Oakey probably be out maybe the first week. He's got a hamstring. Taj Overton has got a collarbone, or excuse me, a shoulder that he'll be out for the spring. Jordan Young will be out. He's got a shoulder too. He came in with it. I think there was one more. Camball. Camball had elbow surgery from the last season. He needed it. It's great timing to get it, and needs it for us, and he needs it for his future. So all those surgeries went well, but I believe that's it.
You have a lot of new faces on the offensive line again this year. How much are you planning on having guys try different spots, and how much are you going to have to cross-train and move people around here early?
We do have a lot of new offensive linemen. I like them a lot. I think, I got to ask a question earlier today about how quickly we'll know who's playing what position. I think the answer for that would be, I think we'll know fairly quickly who our top 10 offensive linemen are. Where they play per se, it might take a little while. But I can tell you athletically, Corey Robinson he can move now, and we got what we wanted there. Carmona, we're looking at him a little bit more inside, whether that be guard or center. Caden Kittler is a guy that, been real pleased with at center. He was at Central Florida, and they'd asked him to go to Florida State when their line coach went down there too. That was a big deal for me as well. Bubba Craig is a new guy where we don't know for sure if he's going to be a guard or a tackle. Brouchard is another guy, very athletic, that we got in that we like a lot. And Marcus Dumerville, we're going to start him out at the right tackle spot. The guy that's probably been as impressive as any of them in his ability to move is Shaq McCroy. I don't know that Shaq's the fastest lineman we have, but he's one of them, which, I recruited him, we did here hard out of high school, and I just never believed that he could move at 370 pounds like he can. But we have depth. You add Brooks Edmondson in there and Kobe Branham, and I like our young guys with Cash Courtney and Blake Cherry. I like those. I think we hit on those guys athletically and knowledge of football. We've been able to have some meetings with them. This will be, in my opinion, the most upgraded room that we have as far as size, speed, physicality. But we'll have to find out exactly about them all in spring ball. But I really like that group and how they look and how they work.
It's like you said, you got to figure out in spring ball a lot, but you've been with these guys for a couple months now.
Yeah.
The 21 transfers, 17 high school additions as far as scholarship players. Do you feel like you've upgraded the team overall based on the new guys with the guys that are returning?
There's no question in my mind we have offensively. None. Now, offensively, you can do a little bit more. You can see a little bit more in in T-shirts and shorts, a little bit more. I like our additions that we've brought in on both sides of the ball. In other words, I think if we win offensively right now, I don't know that I have one need offensively from what we've seen in shorts, working ability, all that offensively. I just don't think that April portal comes. I don't think that the University of Arkansas will be going, we need to go get this guy on offense, this guy on offense. And I'm talking about any of those positions. Defensively, I think we just don't have as many guys that we do offensively. We're not as deep, let's say that. So I think defensively, I think April would still be we would need to add another big or two inside, and then we'd certainly secondary wise we need to add some guys there too. Not saying that I don't think that we can be good with the ones there defensively. I just don't know that we don't know enough about them to know if we've got depth or not, to be honest with you.
Top wide receivers, actually your top 7 pass catchers altogether.
Yeah.
Curious about where these guys fit in, Sharp, Shanks,
Blake, yeah, Crutch. They're really talented, hard working. With Sharp and Shanks, you think that you might be able to run a few more option type routes, maybe a few more screens, things like that with those guys. Ishmael, he's been really impressive. The guy we got from Stanford, along with Blake. Crutchfield has gotten better shape, gotten better in the weight room as that's come on. I think I know what you said there, and it's true, okay? But I think depth-wise, we got to see if, who's Armstrong or who's Tesla, but depth-wise, I think I know we are. We're deeper at wide receiver than we were a year ago, and we're much deeper at tight end. Rohan is really super athletic. I mean, he can fly, and Jaden Platt, great addition along with Jeremiah Beck. But I think we're much deeper than we were. I think we can get into 12 and be comfortable. I think we can get into 13. The addition of Mike Washington at running back, big time. Braylon Russell is in the best shape of his life. I mean, I don't know if y'all seen him walking around, but he's significantly leaner and in good shape. So I know we lost a lot of production, but I'm in no way am I concerned about being productive offensively. If you look at even bringing Bobby back from his second year, and you look at where he was here in 2008 versus 2009, they averaged 14 more points a game and 50 more yards a game, and so passing and rushing was up. Turnovers went down 10 in his second year here. When he was a head coach, obviously he was running the offense. So I think that part of it, I guess if you can't tell, I'm really high on the people that we have offensively. And defensively, I'm as well. We just don't we've got to figure out the totality of the depth on defense.
Sam, you hired Nick Perry. What stood out about him just as a candidate to want to bring him in?
Well, he came from Alabama. He played for Nick Saban, so that was big because I knew that he would know ball. I knew that he would know somewhat. I think a lot of us, and you go to Dan, you go over to Florida, you go to Georgia. I think a lot of us are Nick Saban, even though I didn't work for him, but the template of what we do and kind of how we do it. And then we all have our own personalities. But I think you go through there, and then you go, okay, Nick would be able to come in, understand what we're doing, and how the calls will be different, all that, understand what my expectations are. And then, you know, he had the pro background as well. He's done a really, really good job since he's been here, and obviously we're very limited in what we can do, but what we've been able to do, he's very knowledgeable, been doing a good job on the recruiting trail. So that's why I hired him.
And then are there any changes you're doing this spring compared to springs in the past, just from an approach standpoint to it?
You know, I don't think so. Here's you know, we've gone, just because somebody else does it doesn't mean that that's what you should do, unless that's what you want to do, right? But you got to look at everything. And I just don't know how you play football if you don't play football. And I don't know how you get the fans excited about your football team if they can't see it, you know. And so a lot of times that would be spring game wise, you know, to go do what the NFL's doing in the Pro Bowl or whatever. I don't know that that's going to excite anybody. Now, I know last year we had a spring game and everybody, you know, was disappointed because we went ones versus twos. We had gone one-on-ones then 14 practices, you know. We just didn't there. But I think part of that is you want your one offense to be successful. You want your one defense to be successful, you know, part of that. But no, we haven't changed a lot of things. I'm an offensive line coach, so I believe that you have to do physical things in the spring. I don't know how, if you're a starting running back or a second team, running back, and you don't get an opportunity to break tackles, I don't know how you beat the guy ahead of you out. I don't know if you're a linebacker and you're a two and your mind, I'm better than this guy, I'm better than this guy. You have no chance to play full speed tackle football, how you beat the guy out. And competition becomes bigger when you're playing the game. Now, we're never going to tackle the quarterback, so I just talked out of both sides of my mouth there. But I do think that you can get better if your mind takes out of, well, I'm worried about injuries. You know what I mean? We go out here on a Saturday, and never one time does my mind go, well, what happens if so-and-so gets hurt, or, man, I hope so-and-so doesn't get hurt. Every scrimmage, every time we tackle in the spring, that's all I think about. And so I can't allow that. And let's look at this, too. There's a long answer. Anybody else got any questions? I hope not. I'm about we went to a scrimmage. I'm petrified. Okay, it's a spring. So I'm petrified. Oh, this guy can't get, my mind's working. Do you know you can scrimmage? You're not going to tackle the quarterback, okay? But you can scrimmage, and you look at it. I can't remember. I think it was our first scrimmage last year, and we were eight plays in, and we tackled 2 times because you had an incompletion. You had a guy run out of bounds. You had, you know what I mean? And I'm going, what am I worried about? 2 tackles in 8 plays. You know what I mean? So the physicality of the offensive and defensive line, people will say they don't do anything different. Yeah, they do. You play different if you know somebody's going to get tackled. And so to answer the question, no, we're probably not going to change a whole lot. We're going to continue to be physical, and we're going to have a spring game.
You mentioned the possibility of moving Carmona inside. What about him makes him a candidate to do that? And then, after starting 13 games at left tackle, how did he receive that potential?
He received it great, because I think that's what they're going to do with him in the next level. I approached him about playing center because I think he would be outstanding. It's the best thing for him and for the team. That's what we'll do. I have liked Kittler. I have liked him a lot. But if Robinson was your left tackle, Carmona was your left guard, then Kittler, and then whoever, Kobe, Blackstock, whoever, right? And then you got to find whether it's McCroy, whether it's Dumerville, whether it's E. Harris, and I don't mean in that order, but my mind's then you've got to find that. But I think Carmona's was, honestly, we got Corey Robinson. And then we go, well, that can allow us to help Junior a little bit more with his future, and it can help the team. So he took it great, and I mean, we really didn't say we're going to move you. So we went in there and talked about, what do you think? So I think they're going to move me inside in the league, Coach. I said, well, you want to try it now. You want to try a little center. You want to try guard. So that's how that went.
Obviously, Landon Jackson's gone. Did a lot for you guys on defense. Just what are your thoughts, the confidence level right now with the edges, and how important is it that spot maybe, some guy has to pop here in the spring and assume that role?
I think that's a good analogy of everything there. Quincy Rose is as talented as a lot of people have at that position, and big. So that you're talking about a guy that needs to pop. That's one. Charlie Collins, we've got to get some weight on him. That's another one. And then you got Talley and Boone. Talley and Boone have played ball, have worked extremely hard. So of those guys, and then of course now you got Kavion Henderson, guys that we believe can play. Caleb Bell is a guy that, man, we hit on, just big and raw and can run, from Milton, Georgia. But we need somebody to pop. And I'll be honest with you, we need the same amount inside too. I guess going back, I feel like I know a little bit more, even though, Trey, there's been a huge turnover on both sides of the ball. But I feel like I know a little bit more about the offensive guys than I do the defensive guys as far as what they're capable of doing. So your word using somebody's got to pop, I think you're exactly correct on that. Cam Ball won't be out there, so there's twofold there. Number one, we know he can't get hurt in the spring, and he's going to be a better player because he's going to have a healthy elbow. And then we're going to give opportunity to some other guys. I think Ian Graffard is a guy that's he's got to come on and do something. I've been really happy with Danny Sully too.
You brought in two pretty highly regarded freshman quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
How exciting is it to have that kind of competition, not only, this year for whatever spot that may be, but moving forward? And, can that be a bonus to the program with two guys coming in the same class?
Madden, he came about obviously late. As in, I had my hip surgery on Tuesday night, and Wednesday signing date. That's late. But Grayson, obviously, we knew a little bit more about him. Normally, you wouldn't take two guys. Normally you would not. But you certainly would not pass up on Madden either. And so that's how that happened. We like both of them. Grayson's done a really good job coming in here. Exactly what we thought he would be. Hard worker, great kid, knowledgeable. And Madden's done the same. Now, Madden, because of his high school graduation and all that, he was maybe 2 weeks behind getting in here. But we had worked it out with the school and all that. But normally we would not take two in the same class. But we couldn't pass up on either one of those guys.
Yeah, just we've seen a couple of other different programs just completely decide against having a spring game. Was that something you guys considered at all, and what are the factors that kind of go into that?
No, I never. I don't know what the factors are. If someone's going to poach your player, they ain't waiting on the spring game to look at it. They already got him. The agent's already worked for 3-4 weeks of calling this team, how much you going to give him? Well, that's not enough because I got this much from – that's already been in the works. So I don't know that the spring game is going to cost you a player or not. So that didn't. And the other thing, too, is I think we owe the state of Arkansas the opportunity to come see their team play. And so, it never crossed my mind. And the other thing is I think you can get better. You get a little bit – when people are in the seat, you find out a little bit more about your team. And the spring game is a way to get people in the seats and see really what we have out there.
And speaking on just the turnover you guys have had at those pass catching positions, just how do you kind of go about developing that chemistry between Talon and all of those new guys? Just, yeah.
Well, they throw them. You have to get them out there, and you have to be led, and Talon's got to lead that, and they have to have the want to enough to do it on their own, but two of the three receivers were seniors, or three of the four were seniors. You're going to lose them, so you're going to have to replace three of the four, no matter if there was a portal in life or not. So we knew that going in. It's no different than when we replaced whomever when we got Tesla and Armstrong. So with the reputation of Bobby and with having Talon coming back, I think it made us go out and get whom we wanted at wide receiver. It made it a lot easier than if we didn't have a quarterback coming back and we didn't have Bobby Petrino. I think it made it a little bit easier because we had both those things.
Another quick health question. I don't think you mentioned Zuri Madison. I know he had the ACL last year. Is
Yeah.
he full go now? Or?
He is. He got cleared Monday. Full go. Now, he's been doing a lot of stuff, but in other words, he got cleared for spring practice. He was really athletic, and then unfortunately, he had to Keandre Johnson, right? Keandre Johnson, guys, that's one I missed. He broke his little toe, so he'll be out for a little bit too. But no, he got cleared, and he was so athletic in those stations and all that, and I was so excited about him. And then he had the ACL, which is a long time to get back, but he did a good job with his body, and he's out there and back now. And that, that's almost like getting a guy out of the portal type situation. So we're excited to get him back.
He's unique in that you recruited him out of high school. He goes to Oregon for a year. I don't think he played there, but can you tell, as getting him in, that he's had a year in college and stuff like that? Yeah,
I think, Andrew, Shaq grew up a lot at Oregon. I mean, he had this priority out of high school, and now it was, I want to play football. He did a tremendous job with his body. Now he's 370 or something, but he's a monster. I think he was probably 4 bills, maybe a little bit, I don't know, close to that when we recruited him out of high school. His ability to move as he's moving right now, I did not think out of high school that he could do that as a senior. I'm talking about senior in college. I did not think that big of a guy could be that athletic. So as you can tell, I'm really high on him. But just from an athletic and the way that he's matured from high school to now. And, of course, like your question was, he went through kind of a similar situation because Oregon and Dan coming from Kirby and Kirby coming from Nick and all that.
One of the receivers that you do have back from last year is Jordan Anthony. I'm curious, how is he balancing track and spring ball this year?
Jordan's strictly running track, and from what I understand, doing really well. But he's strictly with track for this spring.
Coach, curious for you. You've kind of talked throughout the offseason about hiring a general manager. When you kind of have gone through the process and you're looking to identify the right person, what are the traits that you're specifically looking at for the correct hire?
Well, I want somebody that's done it. So you may have to go to the NFL, NBA, whatever, to find somebody like that. You want someone who's kind of done that before, whether it be the top dog or the second, somebody that understands that. Because that's something that I've never dealt with. Well, I have for 3 years, and I want some help. But you'd want that. You want a guy to be able. You would want a recruiter. Somebody comes in and says, well, I need $500,000. You don't want just hell. Any of us can say, oh, okay. We need a negotiator. To be honest with you, I need someone that takes the. Well, Coach Pittman won't give it to me. Coach Pittman won't give it to me. I need that taken off of my plate. I need somebody to be ahead of what the market is. And I think the market's going to change again because of revenue sharing and your collective. It's not going to be, hey, we can pay you $1 million out of the collective. No, we can't. We can pay you the max out of what you're worth, and a committee's going to say it's worth $5,000. You know, it's going to change. So, need somebody up on the rules. We need somebody that's a good talker, a good recruiter. We need a guy that's a good evaluator. Because we obviously have corners, and we'll go, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and you don't go, this is 1 we can get. One, no, I don't want the ones we can. I want, this is the number 1 guy we think that we're talking to. Number 2, number 3. I don't care. You know, we'll figure out if we can get them or not. You know, there's different boards now. One of them, you'll have a group of coaches that put up the ones they can get. That's number 1. Well, hell no, I watched the tape too. He ain't number 1. He's number 7. You know, let's go after the number 1 guy. That's another voice in the room, and he's not in there, you know, in every single meeting, and he's going to be an organizer of the portal, organizer of the high school recruiting, organizer of junior college recruiting. And so there's a lot that he or she will be able to help us with. But that's what I'm looking for, and I'm looking for someone to talk to these kids' agents besides me. I want somebody else to talk to them, and then give me the information.
Yeah, and Coach, when it comes to the spring game and not having it air on TV, is there any benefits of that? You've talked a lot already about how you want people in the state to come here and see what the product's going to be eventually, but what benefits do you see of not having that air on TV?
Oh, I don't see a benefit of having it on. Yeah, I do. The only benefit would be, you know, they want to talk to me out there, and while I'm out there, there are words being said on TV, plays being called, defenses being called, another chance to steal signals, all that kind of stuff. To me, that would be more important of not televising the spring game than for any other reason. Because, like I say, the portal opens on the 15th, the spring game's on the 19th, and by the time the 19th gets here, whomever's going to go on the portal is already in it. So now, can they come steal guys from the spring game? I don't think so, because I think they already know about the guys and who they're trying to poach anyway. So, but the benefit to me would be more of, because we watch every spring game of every team we play, but it's more, we're trying to get more than just what we're seeing, if that makes sense.
Thanks, Coach.
Obviously, you got a lot to sort out, as you said, but you know some spots that you probably need to still address in the portal. I was just looking at numbers, maybe defensive tackle, safety. Your thoughts on
both, and I'd throw corner in that as well. Matter of fact, Trey, I'd put any secondary position, and now we just don't need a guy. You know, we need help, and again, we'll see what we have. But going today, I would say a couple of inside guys, and then whomever in the back end. But I don't really see a kicker, a punter, a snapper, nor really right now today anybody offensively. Now our numbers are skewed. You know, we've got a lot more offensive guys on the team right now than we do defensive, so we've got to get those kind of evened up a little bit, and that's another reason why I'm saying defense.
You mentioned a couple of guys, some of your heavyweights. You said McCroy probably still around 370, I guess.
Yeah.
I was wondering, because you mentioned Saul Ely, Dreford, those guys were carrying 388, 370, I think. And then Braylon, you said, was in the best shape. I was wondering what he's carrying these days.
238 for him. And then Danny is, hell, I talked to him about, is he too lean? I mean, Danny is in great shape. Ian, we've still got to get some off of him, but he's working at it. Did you ask me? There was somebody else, maybe.
Dreford, Saul Ely, McCroy, you mentioned, and you mentioned Braylon.
Shaq's, when you see him, Trey, you'll think he looks really good. You know, for carrying 370 pounds, you'll think he looks really good. He looks slim to me. I mean, not slim, but what's the word for 370? Not fat, whatever that word is.
Svelte.
Yes, whatever that was.
So this isn't really a spring, but every coach in the country, I guess, is for that 10-day portal window.
January 2 to 12.
Yeah. How do you
Amen.
think that would impact everything, shift the calendar? Obviously, you wouldn't probably have as many transfers enrolled for the spring semester. Just your thoughts on how that might impact.
You know, Trey, I think that the thing, you know, we all look at stuff and we end up saying, well, that'd be great. And then, but you don't ever really think all of it through, you know. So we went back and looked at what we were getting out of April. In other words, everybody wants one portal because the kids right now have twice they can shake you down, you know, and they can leave you, but they can also amp the money up. You know what I mean? And it's a pain in the it's hard as you probably could imagine when the portal's open, you know, and the portal was open over Christmas and you know, let's eat this turkey and oh, by the way, 4 guys went in the portal. I mean, Merry Christmas, you know. Or you play in the bowl game, and January 1, I think I'm going to sit back and watch some of these ball games today. Oh, I'm going to do it with portal guys because that's when, you know what I mean. So you look at that and you go, oh, man, we got to get rid of, you know, we got to have a life. We've got to. Well, we have gotten some significantly good players in April. So once it goes to 1, and depending on when your school starts, whether the 12th is going to affect you of getting these guys in. Well, if the portal's open, Trey, from 2 to 12, people get in on 12, they're not going to be ready to go to school on the 13th. So I think you are going to have less guys going in the portal. Less opportunities would also mean less guys going in the portal. I wish that they would get rid of April right now, even though April portal's been good to us, simply because I believe that the kids and the staff in that order need to understand who's on their team after spring ball. And, again, I'm talking out both sides because the April portal's been good to us, but I sure wish that they would go to 1. And I think it's headed that way. And but you give a guy a 10-day opportunity to transfer, you know, when no school's in for the most part. I think that's fair for the young man as well. And I think the ability to transfer is fair. I mean, I do. Trey, it's no different than, you know, if you got $100,000 from somebody and somebody offers you $300,000, you can't blame a guy for, you know, I've got my opportunity. Do I have $300,000? Well, I got also in that I have to think about, okay, do we have it? Now, we're all going to have it in revenue sharing, but do we have it? And then how many people do I need? And if you go, okay, well, I'm going to give $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 to one player, do I have enough depth in that room because I'm going to be close to out of money? You know what I mean? So all those things come in effect of the portal, and if you give it twice, your money doesn't change. You know what I mean? So you're probably maxed out at the end of your first portal, pretty much. What are you going to have available in the second portal? Well, now with collective, it's not going to be okay. I can give you $200,000. I can give you $300,000. I can't do that. I've got to have it in revenue sharing because someone's going to dictate whether you're worth $2 or $500,000 for that appearance. So it's all changing, and that one we won't really know until April 7th is the date. We don't know if she's going to sign the bill or not right now, but so we're kind of going a little bit blind in that. All of us are going a little bit blind in that, but we do believe the revenue sharing will pass at some point before the season.
Coach, I want to go back to Madden.
Talking a lot today. Yeah.
I want to go back to Madden and that recruiting process and you guys going in there and getting him away.
Where's Bobby? Because, buddy, I don't know a whole lot about it, but go ahead.
Well, I talked to his high school coach, and he's a kid that started out on the defensive side. So he doesn't have a huge sample size as quarterback, just maybe just that 1 year. So I was wondering what it was that Bobby saw or that you saw that you feel like that translates well to the SEC.
Great arm talent. Got a brother, obviously, that's done it, that was developed. Mature, older, which means you think if he's got arm talent and he's knowledgeable of the game and he's mature, that you might can get him on the field faster. But to be perfectly honest with you, I'd had hip surgery, and Bobby called me 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon and said, hey, I think we can get this guy. What do you think? And I said, well, we got to think about the quarterback that we have. We got to think. And then I watched his tape, and I said, I think we got to, take him. So that was pretty simple, and Bobby had already done the work on that part. I think they may have called us, and then the next day he signed. So I wish all of the recruiting was like that, man. We'd go late. Hell, I'd invite not all of you, but most of you down there with me, and I'm teasing, guys. And then we'd just call up a few guys on Tuesday and say, hey, you want to sign? Well, I thought about going to Georgia. Oh, hell, come to Arkansas. Okay. And then that would be a pretty nice situation instead of recruiting them since they're 12 years old,
Going back to the GM hire, you just listed off all the descriptions of what you're looking for. Do you have like a list of names or guys that you've talked to, people you've talked to, and kind of what's the timeline on that?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to give you the names, but it was a good try. We've talked to people, yes. The portal opens April 15th. We need somebody in here, in my opinion, within the next yesterday. But, we need them in here pretty soon. And I think we can find somebody that has that. And then I think they're going to end up having to be somebody's, you know what I mean? But I think we can find somebody that has those traits that I spoke of. I believe we have found, guys like that. And then whomever Mr. Yurchek wants to hire, obviously I would have some say so, but so would others. And so we'll see what happens. But portal open up, we better get somebody in here that understands our football team first, and then our needs, like you spoke of, Trey, our needs, and then let's get some ranking going on. And then coming soon, I'm going in the portal and get those guys evaluated.
And then I know you mentioned with Talon last year, it was like within 2 weeks of him being here, he kind of asserted himself as a leader, that kind of thing. Just, is there anybody, newcomers, freshmen, or
new guys
that have asserted themselves from kind of a leadership standpoint?
As proud as I am of what we've done offensive line-wise, that's still Carmona and Blackstock has done a really good job with that too. Running back, I wouldn't say there's a guy sticking out. Wide receiver, Sharp, Blake, Shanks, CC, those guys, they're different now. They really are. Rohan Jones. That he would be the guy. Let me see who am I thinking of that sticks out. That like Mike Washington, a hard working kid, but he doesn't say much. I don't care. I mean, he takes that ball over that big fat line at the end of it. He don't have to say a word. But he works it extremely hard. Defensively, the new guys coming in, Caleb Wooden is a guy that's got that about him, and Kenai Walker. Both those guys, I think, are probably maybe a little ahead of some of the other guys as far as leadership goes.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.